All right. So yeah, we were interrupted, Charles, by a little power surge or something here in Florida. I'm not sure, internet and power, but we're back. We're back. I forget what was I talking about? It was I had the floor and I was on a roll, and then obviously the power
Um,
came in.
best of my memory, I think we were starting to get back around to Kamala Harris. Don't hold me to that. But
It's
I,
finally.
I have to throw this out there. We started getting into third parties.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's what it was. We were really on the third party. We were talking about finally voting, about splitting the vote. But,
Yeah.
it's like this. I think this is a good time to bring this up.
All right.
Our lovely intelligence agencies have released a new report. You know
Uh-oh.
what it said, David? They said that the Russians are trying to help Donald Trump win. But the Chinese want Joe Biden to win. So I guess if you're trying to promote the third party message, you're either going to wind up getting your live stream or your video shut down by the Chinese or the Russians because they don't want you to attack or promote anyone besides one of those two.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Um, okay. The Russian thing, we've been over this a lot. And when you said Russian, I just thought salad dressing at this point. I mean, I'm done. I'm done with the hoax.
Yeah.
China, however, I would be more willing to see. I got to be careful, man, because China runs this place. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, if the power's going to go out, something's going to happen. The internet's going to fail. There's a good chance that somebody over in Beijing is going to maybe pull a plug here or there. Countries have influence on our election system. How much influence do they have compared to the media?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I mean, if you're gonna say if you want a third party candidate to succeed, look, Biden and Trump did this brilliantly in 2016. He was Donald Trump. He was the biggest show on earth. He'd been on television for 30 years. What did he do effectively? He said, come follow the circus. And they did. Because you know why? And he even says it himself, and he's correct. Ratings. People want to tune in to see the greatest show on earth. The Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus and the Ringmaster Orange Man in the middle. Now, you cannot buy that kind of coverage. So if you're Joe Jorgensen, Howie Hawkins, what do? You scrounge around. You go to YouTube. Hey, come on my show, Joe Jorgensen. It's great for me. It's great for you if you were to get somebody like this on your show. The problem is who's watching it. I mean, if we can get a few hundred views, we're like, yeah, man, what a great day. But you've got, and not only do they have just the TV appearances, but all day long, these anchors and anchorettes, all they do is if they're in your corner, they're going to cover. And by the way, old adage in marketing, advertising, all that stuff, any publicity is good publicity. So even if you're being talked about in a negative way, oh, I can't stand that Trump, he's horrible. Well, what did Trump do wrong now? I've got to go find out what Trump did wrong today. His name is in the news 24/7. And now you're going to have the Kamala Biden train, or Biden Kamala. Actually, you probably put Kamala in the front of that rig because, let's be honest, they picked her because if Joe can't go, Kamala's going to come in and be president very quickly. And there's no question in my mind. In fact, there are a lot of crazy conspiracy theorists out there. By the way, it says my internet connection is unstable again. Who are saying things like, Joe might not make it. And, I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts on all that are, Charles, but, influence, who's got more influence than the mainstream media on who the president is?
Well, they've got influence to a degree. Yeah, they covered Donald Trump a lot, with the exception of Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and company. Sure, they gave the guy a lot of coverage, but I don't think that particular network brought about many Trump voters either, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They spent all their time bashing Donald Trump.
True.
So they determine the elections because they will not talk about the independent candidates. And this goes back to something you brought up in part one of the video about you own yourself. You're in charge of what you do.
Correct.
Our society has become spoiled children. That's the only way I know to describe it. Have you ever met one of those kids where daddy gave them everything and they didn't have to work for nothing and they didn't actually appreciate the things daddy gave them?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
As much as the left likes to talk about our problems, and I won't dispute that they're not valid arguments, we've become, at the end of the day, a spoiled society.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have a good healthcare system, even though we're involved in endless war while our middle class gets trashed,
yeah,
the mentality of our citizens is not one who actually cares about fixing a problem.
No.
People have become so and we could start sounding like some Alex stuff here in a minute, but people have become so indoctrinated by television, by the mainstream media, by social media, by computers and electronics, and the ease, and that arguably, as much as we like YouTube, and by the way, real quick, point this out there. You talked about who's watching our shows. I got to get this in, then I'll finish the other thought.
Yeah.
The problem with us going on YouTube, even if we got Joe Jorgensen, is imagine a cable TV show that literally, like imagine the USA Network, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, instead of letting everyone who has the USA Network see the program, they throttle it down and cut the connection off to like 70% of the people who get the show, right?
It's just what happened right recently to us.
That's exactly what they've been doing to independent media. So you're on the platform, and the platform is giving you two middle fingers, telling you no.
Yes.
You're telling too much truth. You're promoting a message we don't want.
Yeah.
Let's show them the CNN clip.
Yeah. And by the way, just to quickly interject here, there's a real life example of that. Del Bigtree, a guy who was, hate to use the word big, but he was very big on YouTube. He was talking a lot about stuff that's happening with COVID and things like that.
Yep.
YouTube pulled the plug. He said, in his words, he said, we were getting like 50,000 views, 100,000 views live stream on YouTube. He goes over to a different platform. He runs the same video technology. He checks out his analytics. He's got 223,000 viewers. And this is on a platform that really nobody uses, all right, compared to YouTube. And he's like, not only I was getting throttled down, but I wasn't getting accurate numbers from them. Where it would say live stream, I had 3,000 people. I probably had 100,000 people, and they weren't giving me accurate stats. So
and won't pay you.
Yeah. And so we're up against, look, big tech. If you're a fan of libertarianism to some degree, and I think I'm becoming more open to it. You would say, hey, it's the Wild West, but no, there would be laws in place to protect businesses and so forth. And monopolies are a bad thing. Libertarians don't like monopolies.
No.
Monopolies hurt small businesses. We've seen this during COVID with, hey, everybody's good. You're non-essential, but the big Walmart, well, that's very essential. You know, we got to keep Walmart open, you know, because in case we need to put the FEMA camp behind the Walmart, they're equipped for it. But you little guys, you're non-essential. You just go home.
That what you brought up feeds into exactly what I was saying about our spoiled mentality.
Yeah.
What you just brought up about the monopolies.
Right.
People are spoiled. Again, they don't want, because once upon a time, you know, and I know, David, these were terrible folks. Their statues should be ripped down. Their faces should be removed from mountains, and we should never speak of them again.
Because we don't want to learn from the past, right?
No. But there was a group of people, criticize what you want from what the history books can actually teach you.
Yeah.
Criticize their bad decisions. But there was a group of people who lived under a tyrannical government that made a bunch of decisions, you know, the whole taxation without representation.
Yeah.
That particular government had its hooks in all around the world. Sound familiar?
Okay. Does.
We didn't want to be attached to them. We wanted to be a free nation. And we fought a war, and a lot of people died, and we broke away, and we became a nation. And there were people who lived through that who appreciated what we built and what sacrifices were truly made to keep it.
Yeah.
And arguably, all the way up until into the 1900s, a lot of the country still felt that way.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that hasn't happened to us in a long time. Yeah. We've not had a war right here at home.
Right.
People don't appreciate the sacrifices that were made to build the country.
Yeah.
And so therefore they don't really appreciate the country. They don't appreciate why politics actually matters.
Yeah.
They don't appreciate how the actual policy that the politicians implement actually matters. They don't appreciate the election process. They don't appreciate what should be done to fix the problem. And when I say they don't appreciate it, I mean they don't take the time to actually try and inform themselves. And because of television, because of the internet, because of social media, just like my brother-in-law's page was Google making people that paper react for a college essay, right? And my thought was it is. Yeah. But he didn't think it was. And so, as I've said before, and I think I might have even told this story on your show, the way we framed it was Google can't make you stupid. Only your misuse of Google can make you stupid.
True.
And just like the libertarians say, you own yourself. Yeah. If you don't use Google properly, so you just want to Google the quick answer and don't try to memorize what you're actually looking up, whose fault is that? Google's or yours?
No, it's yours.
If you don't want to understand what sold out the middle class and contributed to racial inequality and has kept people down the totem pole and outsourced your jobs, if you don't actually want to look into that, but you expect CNN or Fox News, Anderson Cooper, Sean Hannity, Rachel Maddow, and whoever else, if you expect them to tell you, whose fault is that? Yours or theirs? They got a TV show where they're paid to spew propaganda. Right. Are you going to be gullible enough to listen to it? Or are you actually going to take the time to check them on what they're saying and try to find out the truth? Because if you don't want to take the time to educate yourself, that's not anyone else's fault that you didn't want to educate yourself, but your own. And our country has gone down that path. Yeah. My mother-in-law does not like politics.
No.
She doesn't want to listen to it that much. She listens to a few things every now and then. She's listened to my videos. But at the end of the day, she doesn't study it. She doesn't have a passion for it.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't had to make any sacrifice really for the country itself to keep it up and running. And so as a result, she listens to a few things here and there, and she's an avid Donald Trump supporter.
Yeah.
That's where you end up.
Well,
that's where you end up when you just listen casually and let propaganda slowly indoctrinate you. They have brainwashed so many people in this country, and it's a serious uphill battle to change people's minds. But that's why it's more important than ever to keep doing it, because just like a lot of those other failed states, that's exactly what's going to happen to us if we're not careful.
Yeah.
And people really need to understand your country matters. Your country matters. And if you really want that healthcare reform, if you really want some sort of a climate change bill, if you want, name your issue. Name your issue. If you really want it, and it's something that the Democrats and the Republicans have not been providing for you, because the main thing they've been providing is more for the rich and less for everyone else, and more war.
Yeah.
Unless that's what you're after, you got to understand we have to come together to defeat these people.
Yeah.
And understand this, for all the folks here, talk about irony and tell me if you disagree with me on this.
Right.
For all the folks on the left who are telling me that it can't be done at the ballot box, and they're pushing the idea of complete revolution, that we've got to take it to the streets and overthrow them by force. My problem with that is this. A year, 2 years ago, you were the same people coming to me talking about disarming myself.
Nah.
Now you want a revolution? You're a bit too late. You've been championing on all this gun control, gun reform, because you were listening to that propaganda telling you that guns are out there killing people, when it was clearly a mental health issue. Clearly we could have possibly better background checks, but that's, again, a different debate. But again, one thing Republicans and the right wing and the NRA is right about is a gun ain't going to kill nobody by itself.
Correct.
Somebody got his hands on a firearm that shouldn't have had it, and they carried out a tragedy.
Yeah.
And you're not going to convince me that people didn't know it was probably coming, because they have spied on us to no end. They violate our Fourth Amendment right. How come they can find things out about you so easily when it doesn't involve a mass shooting? How come they can know your every move and figure these kind of things out? But all of a sudden there's somebody out there who there's been multiple tips given. Hey, this guy's got firearms and he's a little bit nuts. Hey, he said some things. This guy might be ready to, go off the deep end, and nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, 90% of the cases, they get to carry it out. Now, that makes me wonder, how's that possible with the way our own government's been spying on us for over a decade? They find out all these other things, but they couldn't prevent that. I thought that's what the whole point of spying on us was about, right? The whole point was you're going to spy on us to stop this from happening. No, what they've actually figured out is we're going to use this as a guise to spy on you, and then we're still going to let it happen so we can actually bust 2 of your Bill of Rights for the price of 1, because we're going to violate your Fourth Amendment right through your fear. And then even though there's no results given, we're going to make you even more afraid and violate your Second Amendment right. So we're going to violate your privacy, and we're going to disarm you. Then when we become cool, where are you going to be able to defend yourself at all? We've convinced you to give up your firearms. We've convinced you to let us spy on you, and you do nothing about it. Now that we've gotten our job done, how are you ever going to defeat us?
Wow, that's the lot to unpack there. When you were talking, I was thinking about how, there's a cause and effect to what you're talking about. In other words, one of these I'm just going to be blunt. One of these crazy people goes out and does a mass shooting. All of a sudden now, everyone's going to lose their guns. The people who are stable, law-abiding citizen, never had a problem, have a firearm, they use it. And by the way, with what's been happening in the streets right now, gun sales are going through the roof.
Absolutely.
I've seen some of those stats, but People are like, and remember we had this video where people are talking about, hey, let's defund the police. I'm like, hey, you're stupid. Hey, I'm just going to say it. Hey, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I mean, in the black community, they just did a poll in Chicago. 82% of the people not only want the police fully funded, they want more funding for the police.
Yes.
Hello, and maybe, Charles, let's a little conspiracy theory here. Maybe that's why you got the kindergarten cop and the cop who can't think over there for the Democrats. You got the guy who wrote the crime bill or co-authored the crime bill, incarcerated a whole bunch of people. I would have stuck to the violent crime, Joe, not just all crime, not like, hey, I got a little dime bag of whatever. All right.
Yeah.
And the other one there, locking people up for, again, having a couple of joints in their possession. Okay. I don't use drugs, full disclosure. I don't use them, but I don't think, again, marijuana is not our big problem. Legalize it, tax it, whatever you want to do with it, regulate it. You can have an argument about should all drugs be legalized. I'm not sure. That's my answer. I'm not sure, but I lean toward, getting away from the drug war, which causes a lot of violence and problems. And it's like prohibition, it's the same thing. Didn't work out so well when you take something away that people have, or if you make it where there's an underground economy, it doesn't go so well. But you talk very eloquently about rights. This is about human rights. If the Constitution doesn't mean anything anymore, and I'm starting to think that it kind of doesn't, and I'm wondering how much further down this road we can go into this extra constitutional outside area. Now, Trump signs an executive order because, again, the Congress, it's so politicized. It has nothing to do with, is this a bad idea or is it, no, it's a good idea. You guys can't come to an agreement mostly for political reasons because you don't want one side getting credit. So what you do is you say, or one side, I looked at the Democrat part of this bill, and they do this in put one item on the docket. And you can't corrupt it. In other words, if it's a bill about unemployment, right? So you go down the list of things that they got in this bill over on the Democrat side. Now, the Republicans, all they had to do is say, we'll give the $600, but none of this other crap. And I think some of the Democrats probably would have said, okay. Republicans were saying 200, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a man-made problem. Okay, this is, whether you believe in the COVID thing or not, it is a man-made problem. Someone came along and said, you can't work anymore. You got to stay home. You're not essential. Get out of here. So the government in this case, and this is a rare case for me to say this, I think they're obligated to try to figure out how to help you through this and then quickly get rid of, to be honest with you, Charles, I would, at this point, I know there's risk, but I say open the damn thing up, open the country up, send the kids to school, we're going to have to build up some kind of immunity. Yeah, there are going to be people that get very sick, and there will be people who die. I know that's mean. I know that's because it happens every year when we have a flu. It happens, people get into car wrecks, people die of multiple things. But if we continue down this road of live in the bubble until it goes away, well, your body needs to build. If you're in the bubble, you cannot build up any kind of tolerance to anything. It's just the way the body works, not complicated. It's almost like we're opposite day. Well, you need to wear this face diaper. You need to put these glasses on. You need, I tweeted out a video and I thought I was going to get a funny, not a funny response, but like people would get what I was trying to say. I'm like, gee, every time I put my mask on, I've noticed that my glasses start to fog up. And what did I get? I got tutorials on how to put the mask on better so my glasses don't fog up. All right? Rather than, gee, maybe the air is escaping. Maybe those particles are getting out. Of course they're going to get out. Oh, well, they go. I had one guy say, well, they're going up. They're not going toward the person. I go, and where do they go after they go up? Do you know?
They're in the air.
Yeah. So are they gonna go on an upward trajectory forever? Are they gonna come down? They say they're pretty much weightless, so they can hang around for quite a long time. You don't even know about it. My point is that we've look. Do you trust anything anyone is saying to you at this point? I don't want more government control in my life. That's one of the reasons I said no to the Green Party at the end of it, because the Green Party, they were starting to sound kind of neoliberal, kind of authoritarian. They're going to have a quorum like in your neighborhood. It's like, I live in a homeowners association where I live. It's like people can't agree on how high the grass ought to be. Like, is it a quarter inch? Is it a half inch? Oh, it's too short. You're going to get this kind of worm is going to show up. These grubs are going to be. It's like, all I want to do is cut my grass. Okay. And it should be, I own myself. So yeah, but it just shows you that this community decision making, because this is the Green Party, because they say they're not, socialist, or although, yeah, they're socialist, but yeah. They say you get to decide. Even it's democratic socialism, right? It's Bernie Sanders. Nope. I want a decision maker. I want the guy who runs the HOA to make that damn decision. I can call him just like I call my congressperson, say, hey, I noticed you have voted for the quarter-inch grass. I wanted the half-inch grass, and I'll tell you why. He can listen to my complaints, to other complaints, and then come to a decision, But it's like, people don't even show up, Charles, for anything either. If you try to get people to show up, like a town meeting, what's the town doing? They're home watching the Andy Griffith show, probably in Spartansburg. They're all watching Andy Griffith, and I don't blame them, for crying out loud. That's why you need elected officials, all right, who you send to wherever, whether it's your state capital or your town or to Washington, D.C., and they vote and they decide. Yep. And if they suck, you say, you know what? I think we need to vote for somebody else next time. And that's the process. That's how it's supposed to work. But right now, we have so much political dysfunction because the two parties just want to win. They want to win a battle. They want to win a popularity contest. It's the old tribalism, the blue team against the red team. I'm on the red team. Oh, the blue team came up with an idea? Crap. We still got to defeat that idea. That's what I used to like about Tulsi Gabbard. She used to say things like, if a Republican comes up with a good idea, I'll co-sponsor a bill. Nope. Absolutely. Nobody's doing that, Charles. Nobody's doing that. Nobody wants to give anybody else credit. And I think that's why you need a third party to come in there and say, I don't belong to either one of these teams. I'm independent-minded. I can see both sides of these issues, and I can make a better decision because I'm not going to be influenced by tribalist thinking by, hey, I'm on this team. I'm on the gold team. The gold team is independent. We do what our constituents want us to do. We don't vote because of the media. We don't vote because some talk show host said that I need to think this way or act this way. I'm not worried about a popularity contest. Hell, even send people there who are unattractive, I don't want to, I'm not going to vote for somebody because they're a celebrity or they're good looking or whatever the thing is celebrity, that's why Trump got elected. Because this is the new thing. We'd like to have a celebrity. That's why Mark Cuban was thinking of running for president. You've had all these other names. You got Kanye out there. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but
going nuts.
Yeah, going nuts, trying to steal votes. And the big thing with Kanye is he's going to take black votes from Joe Biden. He's doing this for Trump, so Trump can just cruise to. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe that's true. The point is that we do, maybe not Kanye, but I'm willing to listen if he's got ideas, but his celebrity is the reason he's where he's at. He's not like this person that ran for dog catcher and then became a council member and then worked their way up to state rep, all right, and then spent some time, maybe they ran for Congress and lost, and then they won. That's the kind of person that I'd be like coming up through the ranks, like musicians used to do that. They used to play in the dive bars and they get really good at their craft. And then, the record label guy would show up at the dive bar and say, these guys are pretty good. I could sign them to a record deal tomorrow because they got talent, Now it's like if you're on some television reality show and you don't even know how to sing, but you look a certain way or you got some kind of attitude going on, the record label will sign you and then they'll teach you how to rap. It's
get some auto tune.
Yeah, get some auto tune, right? So I mean, it's going to be, unless there's some earthquake thing that happens politically speaking. If I were ranked choice voting, it would be Jorgensen, Trump, Hawkins, and then obviously Biden if I have to put him on the ballot, but that would be my last choice. And then I'd probably go looking for a Constitution Party candidate or that Native American guy who's running before
Mark Charles or whatever his name is.
Yeah, put before I put Biden, but that's what I'm doing. That's the way things are right now for me, and we definitely have to start a movement to kind of go back to what you're saying about the whole Tulsi. Should I vote for Tulsi? I mean, really? I mean, okay. Again, I got a lot of crap on Twitter for voter shaming people for a couple of weeks, but I was like, she's not running. She told you she's not running. She's not running third party. Her name, only in 10 states will they count those, and I'm not even sure they're actually going to get counted. And I think we need to look, the libertarians, like you said, they're not perfect, but they had me, like Tulsi Gabbard when she ran, she had me at anti-war. She had me right there. And I was willing to listen, even though I might not agree on some of the super ultra progressive things that I was hearing. I'm like, we're going to save a ton of money on war. We're going to bring these troops home that deserve to be home. We can protect the homeland probably better because the troops will be here. We won't be encroaching on other states around the world, other properties where people get, I mean, how would you like it if a bunch of occupiers showed up in South Carolina and we're hanging out with their arms folding on, hey, we're here just in case, some terror breaks out. We're here. And Charles is like, yeah, let me go get my gun, And it's like, no, that's not, and people wonder why there might be a little animosity around the world toward the United States. So, yeah, I'm going to go vote for Joe Jorgensen.
Yeah. Old Charles over here, there was an episode of the classic sitcom Sanford and Son.
Love that show, brother.
Love it. Yeah. Love the show. Red Fox was a comedic genius.
Just don't call me a big dummy, all right? That's all I ask.
There's an episode where Lamont was running for the governor or whatever, and because he was running for governor, Aunt Esther interfered in Fred's plans. Fred and Grady had a couple of, women of the night coming over to hang out with them, right?
Nice.
And she caught them coming down the driveway, and when they opened the door, it wasn't their women, it was Esther.
Oh.
She told them that she sent those swinging women home, right?
Yeah,
they're gone. And this has got to be a respectable house for my nephew. And let me put some salvation in your ear. That kind of reminds me of the people that's trying to force these ideas and this we got to radicalize everything and just overthrow the system. That I will equivalent that to the Aunt Esther here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to be Fred G. Sanford.
Yeah.
Okay. Because his response to that was perfect. Yeah. He walked across the room and said, yeah, Esther, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you put some salvation in my ear. And then he quickly grabbed the elephant gun and said, I'm going to put some lead in yours after. I love that scene in particular.
Yeah. Man, you're the young guy between the two of us doing this, man. And you've got the classic TV show stuff going on, which I think is awesome. I mean, there's so little on TV. My wife and I, we end up watching a lot of these like NCIS type shows because and then I think to myself, these are all the people that are in the deep state, and I'm watching all these shows, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, Some of them are solving crimes. I like the one in Miami a lot because that guy is like he's a hard ass. He's like, yeah, you're not going to do this in my town, and the criminals will laugh in his face, and he comes right back at them. But the old sitcoms, man, they're just. I'm originally from Boston, so I watch a lot of Cheers because I'm thinking to myself.
Two others that I just absolutely love that are right on in there with Sanford and Son, controversial or not. All in the Family.
Oh gosh.
And the Jeffersons.
Jeffersons.
Who can't love the Jeffersons?
I mean,
but back to what you're talking about there. We'll start with kind of what you mentioned on COVID there for a second with like the masks. I don't remember where I saw it or who shared it, but I read something that this can only be iterated from a blue-collar old redneck. He had to be from the South.
Yeah.
Okay. But it literally said, and this was so eloquent, by the way, if a fart can't escape past two butt cheeks, underwear, and pants,
yep,
really think that virus can't get through the mask? Now, yep. I'm sure somebody out there, if they're watching, probably heard that and said, "Oh no, science says this and that." Okay.
Yeah, science. Yeah,
I wasn't being serious. It was a joke, but there could be some truth to it. I don't know.
Somebody posted a meme somewhere, and I just love memes sometimes.
Yeah,
but they had the tennis court with the fencing, the tennis court.
Yeah.
And it's got some pretty large holes in there. And the post was, "This is what a mask looks like to the coronavirus." Right on through to the other side, to quote Jim Morrison. Wow. So look, we can wrap this up soon because we got 2 parts now, and people are going to have to wade through all of this to get to anything. Look, we're trying to be entertaining. A lot. I know, Charles, you've been working through this, but I've been quarantined a lot. I can't get out. So we need a little bit of release. And the original reason I want to do this video was just to kind of put the frosting on that Kamala Harris cake that we just got served yesterday.
Absolutely.
I mean, what the bleep was that? I mean, again, predicted. I've said it on Twitter maybe 20 times. Most likely it's going to be Kamala. Some people were saying there's this African-American woman you mentioned. Was it Stacey Abrams?
Yep.
And then there was another woman who was quite interesting from Florida, which would have been an interesting choice. She's a congresswoman from the Orlando area, I believe, African-American woman who she had military experience on top of it. And so I was thinking, that sounds a little like a Tulsi Gabbard type person. But I thought to myself, they'll never pick her. No, they won't pick somebody like that. So they went with the most safe, the most boring, the most monolithic as far as the views between the 2 candidates, even though they keep showing footage of Kamala attacking Biden during the debate. But they were all laughing and having a good time later on. And Biden, if you watch him, he's a deer in the headlights. I don't even think he knows he's being attacked. Just standing there, and this is a big problem for the Democrats because if Biden has to get up there against Donald Trump, good Lord, he's going to need to say some prayers before he gets up there because Trump, I mean, he's been running ads down here, hasn't run as many lately, but he's got the clips of Biden, the thing, that Constitution Declaration, the thing. I mean, I watch that and I cringe and I go, I almost feel bad. I go, and the people are still going to go vote for him because Orange Man bad.
Of course.
Unbelievable. And so, again, Joe Jorgensen, 2020, why not?
Absolutely. And since we were really about, Harris for this video, I'll switch back to that here for just a moment because I didn't actually make this point earlier when we were talking about it. For the folks, we were talking about Tulsi and write-in and all that, right? If you're considering Yang, if you're considering Tulsi, or you think Bernie Sanders' 3rd time is the charm, whatever, okay? understand this. Do you want me to let you in on just how little they think about your wing of the Democrat Party?
Yeah.
They don't care. See, most people would have said they would try, he would try to pick someone that might relate to your movement so he could try to win your vote. Yeah, right? Like pick the VP. So
yeah,
typically that's what a lot of folks have done to try to rein in the rest of the party. JFK picked Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay. Reagan picked Bush.
Yeah.
Okay. Trump picked Pence. The guy who said he wasn't going to be a typical Republican picks a typical Republican.
Right.
Okay? Biden ran against Obama and he picked Biden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Balance the ticket.
Typically speaking, you try to pick up someone who is not quite what you said you were. Okay. Yeah. That way you bring the whole party together. Well, there's a big chunk of the Democrat Party, the ones that consider themselves the progressives, the leftists. This is how much they thought of you. You Bernie, Yang, and Tulsi voters.
Yep.
He didn't compromise on anything. Here's what I find ironic. Maybe it's me, but I feel like when this whole thing started, two people were anointed from the get-go. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, Joe Biden was the old party dog who'd been around for a long time. So he might stand a chance, but I think the Democrats knew old white guy, he was Obama's VP. He's going to have the Obama credibility, so he might stand a chance, but at the same time, he's getting old.
Yeah.
They knew what a lot of us have been saying, so they tried to find a younger, more charismatic Hillary Clinton replacement.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
Was that? It certainly wasn't Amy Klobuchar with a mushroom head. It certainly wasn't Elizabeth Warren. You know, she tried to pass out the peace pipe to the DNC, and they just refused it.
Didn't work.
Okay, they didn't want any part of it.
Nope.
So she sold out for nothing.
Yes.
They anointed Kamala Harris. They anticipated, in my view, because if you remember, they were pushing Kamala Harris very, very strong early on. So that was your two corporate candidates,
right?
The two that were anointed, and the Democratic Party sat back and said, "We're going to make sure it's one of these two."
Yeah.
And then along came Tulsi Gabbard and Kamala Harris. The USS Kamala was sank. Okay, went down in the water. Yep. So now that really narrowed it down. So then they tried to kind of push Mayor Pete. They tried to push Amy, but they realized the other one is going to be Joe. So they all rallied behind Joe to get Joe past the Bernie hurdle.
Yep.
They successfully did. Bernie hopped on board and endorsed. Tulsi hopped on board and endorsed. Yang hopped on board and endorsed. And all three said nice things, some more than others. And here's how much they thought about those bases at the end of the day. Did they try to compromise? Did they pick a Yang? Did they go with Bernie since he was the runner-up? Did they go for Tulsi because, you know, that fits the criteria? Woman vice president, woman of color. Okay. Did they go? No.
No.
Instead, they went back to who was anointed, in my opinion, in the first place.
Right.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And they just played everyone for suckers. So, in my opinion, this is clear as day. They're going to rig the primaries because they're going to make sure someone who fits the donor's bill gets the job.
Absolutely.
And then when they pick the VP, they're going to make sure it's someone else who fits the donor's bill.
Yep.
And will do what the establishment wants. And if any of these quote-unquote outsider candidates get anything, it's going to be something so minuscule that it would only be to try to win your vote, but they don't honestly care about it that much because even if a Republican wins, the donors will still be happy.
Yeah.
Okay?
True.
So they will put Tulsi maybe as the Secretary of Defense. Why? Because it will give you the impression, oh, we might actually be anti-war, right? But it ain't gonna happen.
Nope.
It won't happen. Even if a miracle took place and another war was not launched, I don't think you're going to pull out of Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and all these other places we've got our hooks in.
Nope.
We've had them in for years. You're not going to see that just because she got the job of Secretary of Defense, because, yeah, it's kind of under her watch, but who's her boss? And if she doesn't do what Joe wants her to do, he could easily pull a Donald Trump and replace her. Yeah. So they're literally, if they give them that position, there's going to be a string attached. Understand that. They're going to say, look, I'll give you this job, but you're going to play ball by my rules. You're going to do what I want you to do. In exchange, you'll get the job. People will talk about you, but you're going to do what I want you to do. And if you don't, I'm going to replace you.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm giving you the job is because I want some of the people that voted for you to potentially vote for me. But I wasn't going to take a chance on putting your ideas that close to the presidency. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what's taking place here. That's why she wasn't picked. So they don't care about those voters.
No.
And they're only going to try to do something like that, if they even do it, just to sucker you in, because why not? If we can win your votes and give you nothing, sure, let's go for it. Okay? That's what they're going to do. And until the libertarian idea, you own yourself. Until you decide you're tired of getting the same shaft every 4 years.
Yeah.
Whether the shaft came with a branded R or a D branded into it.
Yeah.
You're tired of it, and you decide you're going to educate yourself on third-party candidates and start voting for other people, you're going to get the same thing. History is going to repeat itself, and you know what they say about doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it has been political insanity for a long time. Yeah. It's just reached a level of insanity with, one reason I'm trying to be like the unity guy at this stage is because I noticed that there's nobody doing that. Everybody is hardcore right, hardcore left. I think there are similarities on both sides with when it comes to the corporations running the show. I think people on the right understand that. People on the left understand it. People on the hard left, I think more so than the right, but there are a lot of people that were Trump Republicans who voted for Donald Trump, even though he came from the billionaire class and everything. But they were thinking, this guy's not from the inside, though. He's never run for anything, and he used to throw that out there as like a resume enhancement. Yeah. So at this stage, you would say to yourself, well, you got Jo Jorgensen. She's never run. Well, she has actually run on the Libertarian ticket before, back in the 90s. So she is political, but she's not a politician per se, and she hasn't been in office. And I think I want to see some people from the private sector. I want to see people who have had workaday jobs, as I like to call them, blue-collar jobs, white-collar jobs. I want to see people with real life, real-world experience who can actually relate to you and I. Once they become a politician, fine. They're a politician, all right? Doesn't mean I hate him at that point. Trump becomes president. He's a politician now. It's just what happens. And then he's got to make all these political decisions. And, it's a big tangled, and Trump was right to call it a swamp because it is a swamp. As he drained the swamp, not very much. The water level might have went down like a half an inch or so.
He drank the swamp.
Yeah, it's good analogy. So at the end of the day, I think you're spot on when you talk about the whole thing about owning yourself is owning your own personal decisions, owning the idea that there's something bigger in the world than yourself. For people, for religious people, that's probably God, right?
But in general, there's more to life than just the political back and forth. Did you hear what this one said? That one said, in the meantime, you've got all these issues that just sit there simmering. Nobody is addressing anything. They give you lip service. Oh, this is what I would do if, I get to this point. And they can't get a consensus, though, with Republicans and Democrats working together. So the system is kind of broken. I mean, let's be honest. It's broken. It's broken because corporations are running the show, and all of these media companies who are highly invested in the food fight never ending. Just like the endless wars. Why do we have endless wars? Well, we got military contractors, and we got the stock exchange. We got Wall Street. You can connect the dots. It's not hard to see. We are running a war-based economy. Switzerland, right? I want to be Switzerland. I don't want any war. I want to be armed to the teeth where the citizenry can kick your ass if you go there and you trespass and you do something bad. Notice how peaceful it is there. Notice how quiet it is there. Because people know, hey, I'm not messing with Switzerland. Switzerland, though, is a negotiating country. It's not a country that wants to rock the boat. America has lost its original spirit. When you talked about the founders and the people who came here, they were fleeing tyranny. The last thing that you can look at Washington, look at the writers, Hamilton and these guys, avoid foreign entanglements. Get away. Yes. You don't hear that. People on the right didn't ever used to talk about that. Ron Paul comes along and a few other people come along and they talk about it. And because that's what they wrote. And they said, basically, if you want prosperity and you want peace, you got to mind your own business. It said it on the money. It used to say, mind your own business on some of our coins and some of our bills in that like 1800s. It's true. We are so far. We are all a bunch of Karens right now running around telling each other what we got to do and how we got to do it. And you don't understand my plight. You don't understand my life. Guess what? I might not understand your life, but your whining about your life is starting to really piss me off.
And that's one more thing I want to point out there too. This thing about the whole voter shaming. I hear a lot of people use that like, and even you brought up, you don't want to voter shame, but I'm not what a lot of people, consider on that particular issue. Like where you said you don't want to voter shame, but to me, I'm not going to shame you because you're voting for someone. Okay. If you're a rich billionaire and you're voting for Biden or Trump because you think it's going to serve your interest, I got an opinion on that, but whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, if you're upset that I'm telling you writing in Tulsi that I'm voter shaming you, I don't think we should look at that as a voter shame, because what you've got to look at it in my book, and I mean, you tell me what you think here.
Yeah.
Things like that have to be looked at through the lens of, okay, you want healthcare reform? I want healthcare reform. You want to get out of wars? I want to get out of wars. Yeah. We go down the list. We can name all the things we agree upon. But here's the thing. My way actually is on the ballot and might win if people came out and voted for it. Your way isn't on the ballot and might not even get counted. So which one of us stands a chance of actually getting something done? So I don't know that to me, people call it voter shaming. In my opinion, I'm trying to get you to understand why doing this isn't going to bring about any of the changes you want. You're going to get a Democrat or a Republican and you're going to get nothing.
Exactly.
At least my way, we might actually get something. Right. But we've talked about it before on this channel. And even though we've both said who we're going to vote for president, I think it needs to be reiterated again. If Joe Jorgensen gets elected in November and we don't get anybody but Democrats or Republicans in the House or the Senate, these parties who fight like cats and dogs and they mix like oil and water are going to become a well-oiled machine to take, her down.
I know.
They will gridlock anything she wants to do. Anything she gets through will be through executive action, and I guarantee you they'll pull that trigger to impeach her, saying it's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Okay? They won't allow a thing to pass, and they won't allow a thing to pass, and they'll get their puppets in the mainstream media to all get out there and champion and say, see, you have elected a third-party president, and they've done nothing for you. Time to go back to Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
They're going to – so you've got to understand it's more than just the presidency.
Yeah, it's true.
I want Joe to win. Joe Jorgensen, not Joe Biden.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? I want her to win, but we got to unseat some people in the House and the Senate too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Whether it be the Libertarians, whether it be the Greens, whether it be – the Constitution, People's Party, we got to start removing our problem, and our problem is Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah.
If you just set her on a plank with nothing but piranha in the water below, she's going to get chewed up.
Yeah.
They're going to eat her alive.
Right.
It doesn't matter what her intentions are. They're going to have that there as the safeguard. Ironically, that's their check and balance, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to unseat the House and the Senate and understand this. If we can't get Joe Jorgensen elected in November, we have to start building our rebirth as a nation from the ground up.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the one thing the mainstream media is confident in is that people like me and you are going to focus on the presidency.
Yeah.
They know we care about the presidency. They only really talk about the presidency. It's what's been promoted. It's what's always talked about. So they know where to focus their attention.
Right.
If people actually start going out, like you said, they don't come out to the town hall meetings, and we've got to change that as a society.
We do.
We've got to get people out to start voting for these local offices. We've got to get people out to vote for the third party that's running for state senate. You got to get the people to go out and vote for someone running to be your state or your senator in D.C. or your congressman in your district, right?
Yeah.
You've got to start replacing those Democrats and the Republicans. And we've got it's ironic because if you've ever watched the series John Adams, when they were talking about actually getting the Declaration of Independence signed, he made a comment because they had to get all the colonies to agree to it at one time or there would be a problem. And he said, literally, all 13 clocks have to strike at the same second.
Wow.
And that's really the only chance we're going to have at getting this done properly. We're going to have to get people awoke or woken up. We're going to have to get them out and vote at one good time and upset the Democrats and Republicans. Because if only one state does it, and then the Democrats and the Republicans catch on that, we're focusing on local elections now, they're going to turn their attention to try to stifle that. So you've got to almost completely uproot them in one good swoop to where it's done some serious damage. And if you can do that, they're going to be in panic mode. They're going to try to stop it. But if they don't have the numbers in the House or the Senate to stop it anymore, because they don't have that kind of a majority to stop those votes from coming in, their hands are going to be tied. So if people care about the country, it's time to understand what the problem is, what solutions can work, and start putting these things in place. And if you're not going to do the work to get it done, remember, you own yourself. If you care about it, but you don't want to fight for it, expect to keep getting what we've been getting because it's going to keep happening. Yeah.
Amen to all of that. So let me wrap this up because we got two parts to this, and it's
you got 2 days worth of content, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just part 2 coming tomorrow. Stay tuned. It'd be like a cliffhanger. Find out what happened after the power went out. So but I'm just gonna wrap up with this because I talk too much. We have to do something different. And you're right about the presidency would be really difficult for a third-party president to just walk in there. Trump kind of did that a little bit. And look at what's happened to Donald Trump. All right. You bring somebody who has an L next to their name, people are going to freak out in the media because they're just going to think both those on the left and the right are going to freak out because a libertarian would be an equal opportunity offender. Okay. They do some stuff that the left would hate, like the Second Amendment. All right. Let's just be honest about all these amendments. The surveillance state. That's an issue that I think you could get some consensus on, but there are a lot of people in that industry who make their living. That's what they do. They spy. And then you got big tech. So there'd be a lot of people that would be upset if a libertarian got in there. So yeah, you need a support system. You need other libertarian candidates running, especially for Congress. But I would say at the state level, you get some libertarians elected at the state level. And then, like you said, it becomes a snowball because what happens is people go, oh, you can win as a libertarian. I've always wanted to run as a libertarian. I just thought I couldn't win. It's one of those things where all of a sudden it would be an avalanche. And then even on the Green Party side, hey, if you guys want to get better organized over there, and you want to run real progressive candidates who aren't just like token weirdos, I'm just going to be honest, and not that serious about what you want to do, go for it. Or Movement for a People's Party. We've heard about this a lot. They didn't do anything. They said in 2016, oh, we're gonna get a party going. Well, they got a social club going. All right, that's what they did. They got an internet social club. You want to join? Get a T-shirt. Cool. I'm a member of the People's Party. Well, where are the candidates? Did you draft anybody running as a member of this party? No, but you wait until 2024. We're just going to rock this place. So, Charles, I think the default thing to do this year as a good citizen is to vote for somebody, like you say, who's on the ballot. No voter shaming. Just thinking it's difficult these days where you might get a mail-in ballot. You might have a mask and goggles, and you might have hazmat gear on when you go to the polls to actually cast that vote, and it might be easier to fill out that oval through all of that gear than it would be to just, have to remember somebody's. By the way, if you do a write-in vote, from what I remember, not only do you have to put in the name of the candidate, you have to have their physical address as well, and you have to write that info in there. So to me, it sounds like kind of a tough thing to do when you're fearful that a germ might get you, and that the poll workers might not be too happy you're taking so long to cast your ballot, and there are people outside in line waiting because you're going to ruin their democracy because people couldn't figure out how to vote. This, it could get me into another video here about owning yourself. It's not that hard to vote. I've been voting for quite a long time. Never had an issue. In fact, I go and there's nobody there. I'm like, oh, this is great. Nobody's here. I'll vote. So so this is a long commercial, I guess, 2-part commercial. Jo Jorgensen for president. She's welcome on the Lone Wolf podcast or on Unity Politics if she decides she wants to reach out to us little people, and we'll give her a fair shake.
And that's an invitation from a fellow South Carolinian here.
There you go. All right, so that wraps it up for this mega long presentation from me and my buddy Charles. Keep watching these channels, independent media. You're going to get a different perspective here. Me and Charles like to talk, as you can tell, and there's a lot to talk about. So we'll see you soon.